Hey everyone, we are live, and this time hopefully you can hear us both.
Yep.
So, for anyone who was here last week, we were supposed to have this stream last week, and we kind of did, but
Yeah.
oh yeah, we are definitely live because I can hear myself. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
for
Something went wrong
everyone
for sure.
anyone joining us this week. Like last week, we tried to have a stream, but we failed miserably due to technical problems. But it seems we have hashed them out at this point. So hopefully, it will be smooth sailing today. Uh, so yeah, welcome everyone. Nice to see you. And yeah, this is Code Review podcast where we talk about all things Cypress. So if you're interested in using Cypress or you are using it currently, then this is the place to be. We'll talk about some news and do some code along live coding. My name is Philip. I'm QA lead at Slido, trying to be an educator online and yeah, I love Cypress. So so that's what I do. I'm writing content. You can check it all out on my homepage philiphayes.com. I have courses. I do consultations. I write lots of blogs. So yeah, uh, over to you, Mike.
Yeah. Hey, Mike Cataldo, working at Lattice as a senior engineer. And actually, just recently went over to the DX and platform team, which is kind of cool. So, not only am I working with Cypress, but I'm working with a lot of the internal tools that help our engineers do their job better. So, it's very exciting.
Oh,
Um,
that's awesome! Congrats! I didn't even
Switch up
know.
for me. Yeah. Yeah, it's exciting. Yeah. They at Lattice they decided to kind of change things up in terms of the QE role. And so now basically QE is part of individual parts of our product
Hmm.
instead of its own team. Of course, there's collaboration between teams, and QE is part of that. But as far as like an actual QE team, we're now part of different kind of departments within the engineering department, and the direction that I went, which I was actually really hoping for, anyway, is on the platform infrastructure type stuff. So all the like SRE and yeah, DX and uh, internal tools, that kind of thing. All of those engineers is who I'm working with,
Nice.
and yeah,
Sounds
I've been
exciting.
involved in Cypress for yeah, it's very exciting, and yeah, I actually worked at Cypress prior, and as a DX engineer, actually, a little bit different, but same title. And then, yeah, and then prior to that, I was an ambassador. Been using Cypress since what, like they went out of beta or something like that. So yeah, love Cypress, just like our friend here. So yeah, let's get started.
Yeah, let's get started. And for those who are new here, we have almost like a regular segment in this show, and that's talking about the news. What's new in Cyprus? So last time we had this podcast, we kind of tried to have this monthly or every 4 weeks. And last time we met, it was I believe what was it? Was it July or uh, was it August? I guess it was August. Oh, sorry, no, it was totally messing up. It was October. Can't believe
Yeah,
it's
October. Yep,
December tomorrow. Like I'm just skipping months like this. I felt like it was summer
time flies.
yesterday.
Yep.
But yeah, we talked about last version of version 10. We didn't know it was the last version, but yeah, since then we had one major release, release number 11, or with the version 11, and that brought huge changes or big changes in terms of component testing, which is a big part of Cypress game right now. And yeah, basically component testing for React, Next.js, Angular, and Vue went out of beta. So some of the projects, some of the frameworks are still in beta, as far as I understand, like Svelte and some others. I think Nuxt might still be in beta. But yeah, these others actually came out of beta, and it's a big change. One of the bigger changes also was that there was a massively improved startup performance, which is I kind of don't know what that is. I tried to test it out to see that performance, but it turns out I was looking at the wrong place. I was looking at at like the run time, which was already awesome on my M1 Mac, but with this change, it's actually more about the browser startup time and also the download of the Cypress package, which if you're using Cypress, you know it's kind of huge. So so yeah, those are like the biggest changes here. Um,
Cool.
yeah, Mike, have you already tried the component testing? Have you already played with that or used that in your work, or is this update just kind of meh?
Yeah, it's coming. Right now, our team um, is using Jest
Mm-hmm.
with Next.js and React. Um, so I know that Cypress is possible, definitely, and I think it's a good opportunity for us to get into. Still working on the end-to-end stuff, so I probably won't be getting that migration going this year, but hopefully next year we'll start working on that, and I'll be building out a proof of concept
Mm-hmm.
on how to, yeah, on that. We'll see how it
Uh,
goes.
if I make maybe like take a segue here, I'm just kind of curious about Lattice and how you work. Uh, I'm wondering if you have like a QA team and a developer team, and they sort of throw the work over the wall to one another, or do you have like a collaborative setup where developers and QAs work together? Do testers write code? Do they fix bugs? Do they write automation, or they do everything manually? Can you
Yeah,
give me like a sneak peek? Because that's always like an interesting topic for me. Like the team setup, I think
yeah.
it really changes. It affects the tools you use. It affects the processes you have in place. So I'm wondering about what you are going through.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to share. And I think it's good for all of our viewers out there too to get a glimpse into what other teams are doing, what's possible, and hopefully, be inspired, but also share your experiences too. We encourage you to do that. So I'm very fortunate to be a part of a team where QA or QE is very much owned by all of engineering,
Hmm.
um, including design too.
Oh,
So
that's nice.
it it doesn't feel like I have to um, force anything on anyone in terms of
Hmm.
writing tests or thinking about things from a testing perspective. In the past, I've had to do that where there the cliche term, right? Siloed departments,
Yeah,
right? Or
yeah, yeah.
siloed teams. That people would be wanting to break those down. And I, I've always been a part of that effort in the past, but this doesn't seem to be a problem at Lattice. Thankfully, I'm very fortunate because I think that's a rare occurrence, at least from my perspective. So as far as testing is done by everyone, not just SDETs. In terms of involvement, it's really up to individual teams. So we have a lot of engineers. I don't know the number. It could be 100. I'm not quite sure. But we have enough teams where trying to do things the same across all teams, where each team is kind of different in terms of not just the product that they're building, but also where the phase of that particular sub product. So
Mm-hmm.
like, are they still in the prototyping phase, or is it more of a mature product, or is it somewhere in between? And depending on that phase, that's one of the factors that determines kind of what's more important to them, in terms of like testing, whether it be manual or automated,
Mm-hmm.
component or end to end, and so forth. So in my first year at Lattice, I was on a QE team and working with all of these different individual product teams to try to understand what they were looking for, or what their needs were, and I discovered that they were all very different, and it was kind of unfair to say this is how it's going to be, and it's going to be the same across all teams, because now there's inefficiencies, right? And then nobody's really happy.
Yeah.
And so I think it was a good decision for us to say, okay, we're going to just have one or two or three, depending on the size of the team, QE, um, quality engineers on each team, and then that way they can assess what those needs are and
Mm-hmm.
do manual testing if that's what's required, or designing test cases if they're not up to par in that regard, um, or simply maintaining what they already have.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
does that
mean,
answer it? I don't know. There were a
it's
few questions
yeah.
in
I
there.
mean, it sounds good. Like I always, what I will always like to see, and what I will always feel like it's the setup you want is to sort of have your teams interconnected. Like you don't want to create silos. You don't want to throw over the responsibility to someone else, but citing the T-shirt of Provar, where my friend Tristan Lombard is from. Just hi, Tristan, if you're watching. Quality is everyone's responsibility, and I really love that quote because in the end
Yeah.
we're all in it together, right? We want the quality, we want to deliver quality to the client, so the collaboration is definitely the way to go. So yeah,
Yeah.
I see the chat is
Cool.
going live. So by the way, if you have any stories from your testing, let us know how your team works and what do you think works or not. Do you have people collaborating or they're clashing into each other? Are testers enemies of developers? Hopefully not, but if they are, we're here for you, and you can record a snippet from this podcast and let them know that's not the way you want. All right, let's get back to the update. Sorry for segueing the conversation, but I think you gave a really good answer there. So yeah, the update we went over the number 11, so that was like a major update, basically mostly for the change in the binary and component testing coming out of the beta. And then looking at version 11.0.1, that is obviously like a bug fix version. Some of the changes have broken some things, so that was quickly fixed. As you can see, it was like just a day later. So it looks like Cypress has a good turnaround with the releases. And then we got two new feature versions in the version 11. We have Next.js version 13 support, which I guess was not supported before that. I wouldn't know. I'm not using Next.js in version 13. I'm just currently trying to migrate my blog from Vue 2 to Vue 3. And I realize it's not really migration, it's sort of a rewriting of everything, which is, like a nice Christmas project. So I wrote my blog the 2 years before on Christmas. That was like really, really cool. My daughter was sleeping and I was coding. Romantic Christmas. So yeah, looking for the next ones. But yeah, so that was the update, and then we have a mount, which accepts extensions directives option, which will be registered globally in Vue 2 component testing. Can't really give an example of what that is, but yeah, the directives is something that's used in Vue and yeah, and then we got a couple of bug fixes, and that's about it. And yeah, and then we move on to the version 11.12, which is a big one for many folks out there, because guess what? Run all specs is back. Yay! So, for everyone who was using version prior to version 10, there was this magic button that would go uh, run all specs in the npx cypress open mode, and it sort of disappeared in version 10. The team decided to sunset it, and the community was not happy about it. Apparently, many people are using it, although there was a little problem with that, because essentially what that run all specs button did was to sort of cram all of your tests into one giant single spec and run that,
Mm-hmm.
and it would cause trouble with your before and before each and after each hooks. This could sort of mess up the flow. In fact, I have encountered that problem when I thought like, oh, okay, I'm just going to run all specs. I just got like 20 of them, so what the hell? And then I realized, oh, it's actually not giving. I have some bugs. Something's happening. Something's not running right. And before I realized, I spent quite a lot of time debugging. But yeah, this is all back with an experimental flag, so you need to enable it. But yeah, so it sort of works as previously. Have you given it a go, Mike?
So the last time I the last time I ran run all specs, it was probably prior to 10 or even 9,
Mm-hmm.
version 9 of Cypress, and I experienced that problem with the before each.
Mm-hmm.
So not only that, but also the the run took a huge performance
Yeah.
hit as well. So sometimes the test wouldn't even finish because it would hang.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically set a rule, communicated, do not run all specs, just don't do it. Um, at least in this way, with Cypress Open.
Yeah, you know what?
Um,
I actually
yeah,
enabled it for my project. You know, I have the plugin Cypress API, and I've been doing some work on it, and it's been like really cool to have that sort of enabled because it watches for changes. So whenever I changed something and changed a file, it would rerun all my tests.
right.
And since they are API tests, they were like super fast. But apparently there is some kind of memory leak, and I don't know if that was on my plugin side or that was on Cypress's side. But each time I
Yeah,
would run them, they would run slightly slower, and it went to the point where I didn't even realize that they're slower and slower. Just I was kind of more and more annoyed as I was coding because I was debugging and nothing worked, and then tests were slow, and then I realized, oh, I'm running run all specs. So maybe if I just
yep,
refresh the browser and try to run it again, it will work better. And
yep,
voila, there it was. I refreshed the browser, and suddenly all the specs were like, so
yep,
so yeah, there are problems with that, and I guess it's a good thing that they sort of put it into the experimental flag, because it
yep.
sort of has this asterisk on it, like use with caution, which I think should be used with caution. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe Cypress will spend some time on improving it, because if in some cases it's like really powerful feature. For my at least for my case, when I was building that plugin, that was like really cool. I would just save a file and it would rerun everything, and it was great.
So what if you just oh, because maybe the watcher. I'm just trying to think of like what if you did Cypress run and then with a headed browser, can you do that? Would that be the same thing, or is
I
that?
don't think it watches for changes. Like even if you have had it,
Yeah,
you have the option to sort of keep it open. But even if it's opened, I don't think it will rerun. I mean, we can
yeah.
take a look. What do you say?
Well, are we done with the? Are we done with the update? Was that
Pretty
the last one?
much. Pretty much, yeah. I
Cool.
think that was the last one, the 11.2. And yeah, by the way, I hear that version 12 is coming soon. I don't want to say the dates. I hope because I don't want Cyprus folks to get mad at me for because like they say, okay, here's the date, but like don't share it because we don't know. And if you spread it out, then people might get excited. So yeah, it may be coming soon, but yeah, what I wanted to tell you is that the big change that will be coming is the change in the queries in how retries are being done. Uh, you know what? I'm going to open my terminal and
Well,
just spin up a new project. So let's do.
is there a? Is there? There should. I'm sure there's a PR or even a release branch or something in the Cypress repo,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah. We can
Could
take a
we
look
look at it
into
there?
that. I haven't really tried that. To be honest, wait, what's going on? Oh, here it is. Good. I have my terminal here, and we can spin up an empty project, and we can take a look into that. So, but let's first finish the first thought we had, and that was the run mode. So let's just write a simple test. Go with CY. Ooh, not crypto. What's happening? Visit and visit the home page, and now go npx cypress run. Let's go headed. And what's the option for not exiting? Is it like double dash
No
no
exit.
exit like this, or is it with a dash? I never know. Oh, okay, probably not.
No dash. I see it.
No dash exit. Yeah, all right. Cause I was thinking of no emit, because that's actually in camel case. So let's wait, what's going on? Headed, no emit.
So wait, what's no emit?
No, gosh. I'm talking and I'm not paying attention to what I'm typing. No emit is actually in TypeScript, and no exit is the option in Cypress. And I forgot to spin up my app, so let's do that. npm start. We'll try connecting 3 more times. 1 more time. Did I make it? I made it.
Cool. You made it.
All right, so it's now running. It just visits the app. The first load is kind of slow for my app, not sure why. Not exiting due to options exit being false. So let's try and wait. Let me arrange my windows. Let's try and do what? Should I just let's select this element by placeholder text. Placeholder equals
You're
to
just trying to put in a change to see if
name
it'll watch, or
of your first board. Yeah, exactly. Name of your first board. So let's save it. Not doing anything. So this is not going to watch for changes. I don't think there is an option to make your headless mode watch for changes. I mean, you could probably hack your way around it, but not sure how that would go. But yeah, basically I need to stop, run again. Oops, I see you here. Not sure.
um
Okay.
okay. Watch for file changes. There is a watch for file changes.
Yeah, but it watches for. I mean, it watches for the file changes in the Cypress project. But there is a way of how you can like watch for file changes in some other project, and that's going to make your open mode rerun, but it's not going to rerun your run mode. And speaking of that, gleb has actually made a plugin that will watch and reload. Yeah, there it was. And basically you can set up what folders you want to watch for. So not only you can rerun your tests when you change your tests, but you can rerun your tests when you change your source code. And I have been using that in the past, and it's pretty nice. Like it certainly gives you a really nice development flow when you are the developer creating something. So yeah, that's the one. The second thing we wanted to look for, what was that? Remind me.
Um,
Oh, hey, Danny.
oh, we were gonna look at the GitHub and check out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Let's do that. So
Um,
let's go to GitHub. Uh,
yep.
and yeah, there's
And then there should be
definitely
a V12 in there,
a branch we can look
a
into.
tag or a
So
branch. I'm not sure.
develop release 12. Oh yeah, there it is.
There it is. Yep.
There's an open PR. So
This
what
is
was
not
the
special. This is not special permission, by the way. This is all public.
yeah?
For any of you wondering if you can see this, um, yeah.
But not many people know this. So I kind of forgot the process. So you need to find like a last commit, right? And then you can find there's like a Cypress bot or something giving you the version, the pre-release version. All right, so here it is. So if you take a look at the commit, you see the changes in the code, and at the bottom, let's go to the bottom. There's this Cypress bot, and you can take a look into the pre-release. So which am I? Darwin ARM. Yeah, that's the version I want to install. So I'm going to take the npm install, and it's in CDN, and in my terminal I go npm install and basically install this version of Cypress. Now, when I do that, I need to have like a good use case for showing how the retrying works. Let me think of one. I actually have one in my workshop. I can show you, but let's see if this actually opens. Sometimes it just acts out, although the installation usually acts out. Yeah, all right. Looks like it's first time using Cypress 11. It's not actually first time, but yeah, here is the pre-release version, which should have some of the new features. And like the number one new feature should be the querying of the elements. Default blank page. No commands issued in this test. What's happening? Pretty sure I do have commands in this test. Oh, okay. Good. So let's take a look. Oh, I know how we can replicate. So basically, just to give you all a context of what we are talking about, there's this problem in Cypress which you might have already seen if you're using Cypress. Let's say you want to check a text of this card, and you decided to like open the board and then check out the cards, Let's go data CY card. Oof. Okay, this is not what I wanted. Data CY card. This is the selector I want. And you have two. And you write an assertion. Let's go for the second one. And you write an assertion. It should have text. And I just give it some other text. So let's call it text. And let's give our test like a ridiculous timeout so we can showcase this. And let's go default command timeout and go for 60 seconds. All right. So now when I save my test and what should I do? Actually, not sure if this is like a good showcase, but basically what the next release is trying to solve is to have that detached from DOM error. So if I were to delete this card and create a new card that's going to have the text of text, then in previous versions it would fail, and in this one it should be passing. At least like that's the idea that I have in terms of like what the team is preparing. But as I see this is still not passing, I think that there might be it might be behind an experimental flag, or it may not work as I'm expecting. But basically, the problem with Cypress was that with your should command, it would have this retry logic. So it would try to make that wait until the assertion passes. And the way it would do that, it would make the previous command retry. The problem would occur if your previous command was something like EQ or find or something like that, where this EQ command is basically stuck with what the previous command has yielded. And this previous command has found two elements, and then you're filtering it out, so the EQ command does its thing, and then the assertion tries to make an assertion, is not passing, so it makes the EQ command retry, but that is still stuck with those two elements that were here at the time where this command was executed. But since this one has done doing its thing, it's not going to be run ever again. So in the command of chains, if you have a should, only previous command would retry. And in the next release, what it is aiming to fix is that not only it would make the previous command retry, it would make the whole chain of commands retry. So yeah, I was hoping we could see that, but apparently not.
Cool.
Let me maybe take a look into here. See if we don't have an autocomplete for that. Hey, where's my autocomplete? Do I need to restart my TS server?
TypeScript. Yeah, maybe you need to restart the the engine or whatever.
Yeah, I tried that. Didn't work. Not doing anything. Not even like viewport width, viewport height. What's going on? Come on. Nope, nothing.
That's weird. Is it because, I don't know. I was gonna say, is it because of how you did an npm install, maybe? Because
No,
it
I
was
don't
from
think
a
so.
CDN instead. Does that matter?
No, I don't think so. Like the installation of Cypress is not something that matters in terms of using TypeScript. Maybe the way I'm doing the imports, like this is not the TypeScript way. Let's change that. Let's go.
Oh, is it not anything that's auto completing? Like nothing is, or
Nothing is auto completing. Hey, now it is. So yeah, it was that import. I'm still kind of confused with this import and require. I know there's something around that, but I don't really understand that. So yeah, let's take a look into experimental interactive run events. Modify. Nope, that
yeah. If you want to
doesn't
use
seem-
require inside of TypeScript, I believe you have to. There's something that you indicate in TS config
Yeah.
for that to work. But maybe you've already done that. I don't know, but
Yeah. So, but now it's not now it's auto completing. So we got rid of that problem. but it doesn't seem like we have the flag in this version. Or is it the
There
interactive run events? I'm not cannot
there is
remember
a
that flag. Let's take a look at the docs.
yeah,
But
there
yeah,
is a
tell
I was
me.
going to say there is the docs. Well, what I would do is I would actually go to the docs for this version,
Oh,
and then you
okay.
can see, yeah, unless you because right, because this is just going to be for the latest version. It's not going to apply.
Oh no, this is something else. This is something else.
Yeah,
For docs for this version. So we can take a look into the
yeah.
GitHub
So
and take a look
yeah, go to
into the
GitHub. It's
docs.
actually in a separate repo.
Yep.
If you go to Cypress documentation, it'll show it there.
So we're searching for the new features now.
Why not?
Yeah, why not? Cypress documentation, or is it just documentation? No, it's Cypress
Cypress
documentation.
dash documentation.
Yeah, here it is.
Yep. And then if you go to the branches, you need to change it to V12. So if you look up V12 or 12, I think it's just
We got
12.
V12. Oh,
There you
nice.
go. And then
So how would I look into
um,
the newest docs?
actually try the migration guide.
Okay.
There's a V12 migration guide in there.
V12, yeah.
Yeah, try that. And then if you go to content, that was just modified yesterday.
Okay.
And then guides and references. So go to guides,
Guides, all right.
references, and that's
References.
where the migrations are, the
Oh,
migration
you know
guides.
your stuff, man.
Oh no, I just looked it up.
So this is like
There should be
experiments, advanced
migration guide in there.
installation to
Yeah,
22 days
migration
ago.
guide is
I'm looking at
and it's
it.
like the fifth
Migration.
one
Oh
up.
yeah, I see it now.
Here we go.
Yesterday,
Cool.
migration guides. So we got test isolation, experimental origin flag has been removed. So that's going out of beta. See what we're doing now? We usually take a look into the past, and now we're looking into the future.
This is all subject to change, folks.
Yeah,
So
that's true. That's
take
true.
this with a grain of salt. It hasn't been
So
released.
so this is like the migration guide, test isolation, blah blah blah, not important. Alias behavior changes. Cypress always requeries aliases when they are referenced. This can result in certain tests that you use to pass failing. For example, find test ID, find by rule, expand true. S button click previously passed because this initial button was collapsed when it first queried and then expanded. However, in
Mm,
Cypress, the test fails. The alias is always requeried from the DOM, effectively resulting in following execution. So is it so? But this is like alias, right? But I want to
yeah,
take a look into the
they probably had to fix that
into.
because of the retry
Oh, here's a big one.
changes.
Cypress cookies defaults and Cypress cookies preserved once APIs are removed. Use CY session instead. I
Those
heard,
were already in deprecation,
yeah,
right?
they were, and I saw a debate on GitHub discussions, and but I didn't really care. But I saw some people being upset about that because they use it. But honestly, I'm also kind of surprised by this change. I know how like design wise it might make sense, but I don't understand like to full extent whether you can use the CY session in like one to one kind of in the same way of how you would use these APIs, these Cypress cookies defaults and preserve ones, because they were like really efficient. But I guess this says it, right? So before each we had Cypress cookies preserve once, and now we have session unique identifier, and you put your login in there. All right, I guess that. Oh, and you have cache across banks, so that makes sense. It's a little less intuitive. Like this was kind of I kind of like this. Like you had that in your in your support file, and you just knew that this is something you want to have, like the defaults, not
Yeah.
the preserved ones.
Yeah. And it's specific to cookies. So in that way, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
Whereas, yeah, session is saving more than just cookies, as I understand it.
Yeah,
But
it does. It does. I wonder, like, if session is saving more than cookies, why isn't there a set local storage command? Like, you can set things to local storage with no problem using the window command, but you have
yeah,
set cookie and clear cookies, and then for local storage you only, I think, wait, well, what are the APS we have for local storage? Like close to nothing, right? CY local storage. Wait, let's just maybe local clear local storage. Like that's all you have. I never understood this. Why is there just clear local storage but not set local storage?
yeah.
I guess I
Hmm.
would find something in the on the GitHub, but it didn't bother me to enough to see that. All right. Invoke now throws an error if your function returns a promise. Okay,
Hmm.
interesting. All right, that's invoke. This is should. Should now throws an error if Cypress commands are invoked from inside a should callback. Okay. Not sure if I saw that. Cypress commands override. The follow commands can no longer be overridden. Okay, as
Oh,
children to do.
this is
Next
interesting.
all, and these are like all the jQuery commands. I don't see CY request here, which is good because I'm overriding that in my
I'm overriding.
command.
I think I'm overriding contains.
Oh really?
I
Oh, well,
think,
that's
or maybe because
game over
contains
for you,
uses
man.
get, it might be. Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
get.
get.
You
Yep.
mentioned that
I'm
because
overriding get.
you have like data selectors and
Yep.
you do like double asterisk or something, right? Or double hash,
Yep.
something like that. I really like that trick. Like it was really cool that what you did with that.
Does it show an explanation? Like, does it give an explanation as to why? No,
Not yet.
that's too bad.
As of this commit of the Cypress documentation, it doesn't show anything. But I'm wondering, I don't see anything about the querying. I was thinking like the detached DOM thing would be something that would be solved or something. I mean, it says something about the alias behavior. Cypress always requires aliases when they are referenced. This which is, I guess, I mean, so the alias makes sense, but I don't know like where's the rest of it. And yeah, we were thinking that this might be like inside experimental flags, and it doesn't seem like we have that under here. Experimental flags, end-to-end testing, experimental studio, single tab, run mode in component testing, removed session origin. Yeah, not
There
sure.
could be a change log document that has that detail in there.
We're going to dig more. Where should that be? In the
I'm just
content?
saying.
Yeah, change logs. Oh gosh, we need to scroll all the way down. Wait, or all the way up? Where should we? Oh, this is alphabetically, so we need to scroll in the middle. Here it is. Okay. Breaking changes. Yeah, that's about it. Server route commands has been removed. CY intercept instead. Yeah, that's about it.
Interesting. So I wonder where that retry change is then if it's not in V12.
Now I'm kind of doubting myself whether it is actually the thing I am thinking, because but yeah, like there is a yeah. Let's go to the document to Cypress source code, and there are some issues in here, And there is an issue that I've been like following, DOM detached, and that's like the big one. Where is it? Detached DOM issues in Firefox? No. Queries, detached DOM, and retriability. So there's pull request here. It's merged in release version 12. So like this is it. This is the thing I've been following. And obviously you have so this is like one of the non-intuitive things in Cypress where you would uh, I've shown it right on this spec example. Like should makes the previous command retry, but not the whole chain. You obviously want the whole chain. It makes much more sense intuitively. And the way I was reading that was that this is what this does. This is a breaking change. We got docs PR. So here we have the documentation. Maybe we can look into that. Separate documentation. Oh, we can visit the preview. Hey.
Cool.
All right, where should we go?
Well, where's the change?
Guys, that's a good point. Yeah, let's take a look at the files change. 111. Yeah. So that's going to be a long stream, man. Delay quick. Oh, look, we have a thing here. Obviously, something showing us an error that was.
Retry assertion.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, never mind. That's an image.
That's okay, images. All right. So we have that. We have the commands. Oh, look! Like every command has been rewritten, like the documentation.
Try going to should.md.
Should. All right. In most cases, yields the same subject that it was given from previous command. Should is an assertion and is safe to change further commands that use the subject. There's not much in this.
That's weird.
I would like to say look into concepts retriability. All right, maybe a retriability that might give us some information. So let's read that in here.
Preview, yeah.
Where's that would be core concepts, right?
Concepts, yeah. Retriability.
There it is.
There you go.
Let's make it bigger. Test retries, command queries, and assertions. Action query assertion. So the command log shows all the commands regardless of types with passing assertion showing in green. Good. Let's look at the last chain of commands because nothing is synchronous. What if the application has not updated? Okay. So I think this kind of shows something, right? No, that's fairly. That's kind of the same thing. How that would work previously. Multiple assertions. We got the callback. That's good. I would like to see like something. All right, so here because the second assertion fails, third assertion is never reached. Okay, that's good. Timeouts, disable retry. Only queries are retried. So I think this is new. Let's actually check that in the documentation. Like the retriability, I feel like this is a new thing here, right? Or not?
Yeah, so you're
all confused.
You're in variables and aliases. So if you go back up to if you go back up to retriability file, I think in the MD file, right. I think it was collapsed.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So
because it's too big.
Yeah, it was too big. There were too many changes. Yeah,
Command queries and assertions. Okay. Why are some commands not retried? So we got that removed. So it seems like disable retry. Only last command is retried is deleted, and only queries are retried. So any command that isn't a query, such as click, follows different rules than queries do. Cypress will retry any queries leading up to a command and retry any assertion after a command, but commands themselves never retry, nor does anything leading up to them after they've resolved. Okay, I mean that makes sense. It seems like I was spot on with the with my expectations. So this is what we want. We want the queries to be retried, and now looking at my test, I feel like this should work, right? I don't know. Let's maybe change the order of these. Rerun that test. This is not working. If I reorder, it's still not like it's not doing. Is EQ a query? Maybe it's not, or maybe just the version of Cypress we are running here. Just it's not the thing we really are expecting it to be. But I was hoping we could get us like a sneak peek into what's happening here, and I feel like we are not really getting that. So yeah, that's that's sort of underwhelming news here. But yeah, at least you see we are going live and we improvise, and sometimes things don't go as expected. Probably see that last time as well.
That's how we do it.
That's how we do
That's
it.
how we
That's
do it
how
here,
we
folks.
roll, man.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, I'm kind of excited about this, and I wonder like how will that work? And I feel like maybe I just didn't take a good example, and maybe we could find a better one to make it work. So yeah, but at least we got a cool sneak peek into like the documentation and to the branches that are not released yet. So
Yep.
yeah, if you're interested about the news, if you're waiting for that iframes, you can check out the the branches and see if it's coming. All right, what should we do next? We got some people
Awesome.
in the chat. So Martin is actually like responding to the question we had earlier on the topic of the devs versus QAs, and he sort of makes a comparison of how different that was. Like at the beginning of the career, he was in a team where they had dev and QA fully separated. I don't know how they can be like even fully separated since they're working on the same project, but I see this. I see this sometimes, and it makes me kind of sad to see that. And so now he's in full Scrum, and it's something very different and definitely better in his point of view. So yeah, happy to see you, Martin, in a good team. Thanks for sharing. All right. So what now? I think we had.
Well, we
I
talked.
think we had about had one kind of topic we discussed that we could maybe discuss, and that was the data-driven testing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of an interesting one. Let me share a little project that I have created. Data driven. Let me share my screen. And inside here, let's see the app. I have a little project, npm run dev, I believe. It's the URL. Yeah. So let's close this. And it's a small project. It's like a login screen. It says welcome back, and I have an email. I have a password, and if I put in the email and put in the password, click on login, then it's going to say email is not valid because I didn't put valid email. As soon as I put a valid email, then it's going to say success. If I put too short of a password, it says password is too short. The success message doesn't reset. Sorry about that. Um, if I leave something empty, then it's going to say email is required. If I leave my password, then it says password and email is required. So if I put an email and don't put any password, then it says password is not required. So we got like 7 different cases of how of what we want to test in this small form. Uh, so the natural way of how we could be testing that would be to do sort of data-driven testing, where we would sort of generate our test cases. So I have a couple of tests here that I have written, and the first one is sort of verbose, right? It's just 7 test cases, and every case is just covered in these 7 tests. Now, yeah, so this is kind of verbose. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great first start, though. You know, sometimes when you're putting together tests, I think I think it's good to throw abstraction out the window, especially when you're first starting out.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be starting out with testing from scratch or just testing a particular product, um, or testing, say, this login screen for the first time. I think it's good. Sometimes I get caught up. Abstractions are great, like optimizations are great, don't get me wrong, but I also find myself on the opposite side, which is trying to like look at how I can optimize things to no end, and then I end up getting caught up trying to shave milliseconds off
Yeah.
of tests and stuff. So sometimes being verbose can also make it easier to read and to kind of figure things out and get things started, and then you can always optimize later. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. Obviously there's room for improvement, but yeah.
Yeah, so speaking of improvement, I tried different approaches with this. And one of those approaches was looping the tests. So what I did here is that I would create this login cases JSON. And in this JSON, where is it? It's in fixtures. I would create this sort of thing where I would have an array of objects, and every object would represent one test. So basically, what I did here is that I would add a test name and then email, password, and the asserted message. And I would use those in different parts of my test. So if I go back to loop tests and break it down a little bit, so the first thing I'm doing, I'm importing the JSON. And then I'm looping over that array, which I called data. And I'm doing a little JavaScript thing, which is called destructuring. So I'm taking the test name, email, password, and a message. If I didn't do that, I would like need to give it an alias, like I don't know, like item. So that all of my variables here would be item, test name, item, password, item, email, item, message, stuff like that. So this destructuring sort of just takes out whatever the name of the keys is. So yeah, I'm taking the test name, email, password, and I put the test name as the test name, as the name of my it block. So this will generate 7 tests, as I have 7 things in here, and then I would visit my page, And I would have a condition here. So if I have an email, I go get that email and then type in the email. And if I have a password, then I would get that password item and type in password. And then click a button that says login and then make an assertion on the image. So Martin says it basically looks like cucumber. No, it doesn't. What are you saying? Does it really? Hope not. It's just me getting sensitive because I'm not a big fan. But yeah, I don't have any given when then here, so I should be fine, right? But yeah, how does this look? Should I run it?
Let's do it.
All right. So here it is. It ran all the cases. So I have all the success, email not filled, password not filled, blah blah blah. Everything is tested. It took me 4 seconds to test everything. Now, one thing that I often say, even the Cypress documentation says that you should not have conditions in your test. And I definitely would agree with that. But I think it's important to distinguish what kind of conditions you want or not want to have in your test. Basically, my rule of thumb is one single test should give you one single result. So if your application drives the result of the test, that's not a good test design. So for example, if you have a like an A/B test, you want to test a web page that has an A/B test running on it. And that A/B test, I don't know, like you have a different selector or you have a different thing going on there, different kind of flow. In that case, you want to write two tests and basically take control of whether you get the version A or version B. Usually that's to protect user from getting different site every time. And there is some kind of cookie or local storage or some kind of thing which helps to sort of remember which version we want to serve that user. Or it could be like the some sort of API call or something like that. So you can take control of that and basically write two tests for the version A and version B. If you have a data-driven testing, now this is where I would like not stand firm on having these ifs in my tests. But the one argument for this making a sense is that even my flows that I have in this verbose test, when I'm using password is not filled, not even, I'm getting the password. Like this is kind of redundant. I don't need to have that. But yeah, basically I don't even need to have this. I don't need to do anything with this. I don't need to definitely don't need to type into this password field. So in this case, if I don't have a password in my data, which I don't, I kind of have null in here, then in that case, just don't even get the element and don't type. And since type always needs some kind of text, it cannot take null, it cannot take an empty object or undefined or something, then I basically wrapped it inside this condition. The argument against that, against this kind of approach, is that whenever you do data-driven testing, you take some data and generate tests from that, you kind of encounter a problem of complexity. So what if test number 4 failed? How would I get to that? How would I know which one that is and whether does it have the if going on or not? Well, I have to somehow separate that test, so I guess I need to do like some kind of slice of this to get to that test. Then I also need to take a look into the data, find the object number 4. Um, and while this is like a very simple use case, if you have a for each loop and you have a bunch of ifs in it, it definitely makes the debugging harder, at least in my experience. Maybe not for you, but maybe for someone else who didn't write the test and wants to debug it. It sort of takes away from the readability or the simplicity of the test. So if anything fails, the time to debug is basically going to increase if you have a bunch of conditions inside the for each loop. So you can weigh that in, see if it makes sense or not to have such a condition, uh, and yeah. Mike, you're here.
Sorry, I'm just running into a
Oh, I see you
an
kind of.
issue. I tried to load something and on the GitHub page, Cypress GitHub, and then it's
Oh,
like way
you.
too many files, and
Yeah,
now my
yeah, yeah.
browser's
You
hanging.
you are kind of frozen. I'm not sure why that is. Hopefully you get back. I can definitely hear you, but your picture is kind of frozen, like you're still
I'll
staring at
be
me.
it'll come back.
Yeah.
It'll,
All right. All right. Okay. So let me walk you through the next kind of version of data-driven testing, where I'm using the same approach, but this time instead of having the generating the it blocks, I'm just generating the code inside the it block. So I don't end up with 7 tests, I end up with a single test. Now, to make a distinction between these tests, I have these cy log messages that basically give me the test name, so I can see like this is a success test, this is an email not filled test, here is a password not filled, here is the email, and etc. You get the idea. So I mean, what this helps you with, like, definitely doesn't help the readability. So this approach, like, while it might feel like it's a little bit faster, it's probably not the best one because of the readability. And if you want to like debug the test, then you kind of will have a hard time. But you can save yourself one couple of it blocks if you like don't want to pay for too much for dashboards or something like that. It's not expensive. This is not going to like help you get the bills down, but if you want to like generate something within the test, then you can definitely do that. If you want to generate a separate test for every case, then you can do that as well.
well, the only problem with that though is that now if you do have a failure, it's not going to continue,
Oh yeah, that
right?
that's a great point. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, in
Because
this
then that
case where
yeah,
we
it would
have
just
a separate it blocks, it would not affect the next test if you have a good isolation of the tests, which in this case we have. But also, yeah, it will not continue with the rest of the tests. So in this case, if you're just within the single test, as soon as you get a failure, it's the for each loop is just not going to continue.
yeah. Yeah, and I think a good rule of thumb, and this is kind of what you were saying before. I was just saying it in a different way, and that's with conditionals. If you're going to use an if statement, you want to make sure that your test, and when we say test, I guess we're kind of meaning the it block.
Mm-hmm.
You want that test to run the same way every time, regardless of the data going into it,
Yep.
right? Um, and so we want, yeah, I don't know, I guess it kind of, I guess you could say the second way, the second method kind of breaks that rule a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because now, you have the test running differently depending on what that if statement is, maybe.
I mean, yeah, it's a different test. So, like, this is a simple use case, so it works, right? But the principle is kind of tricky because if you would apply this principle to a more complex data set or more complex flow where you would not just have two inputs and a button, but you would have like a whole scenario, then having those ifs is definitely going to complicate things. It's going to take a huge toll on readability, and and yeah, also it might feel like if you have different flows, then maybe you should separate that data. Maybe all of those tests that don't have an email in them should be in a separate test, or maybe all of those tests that don't have the password in them again should be in a different test, not in different test, in different spec, or maybe they can be in the same spec but just like isolated with a describe or something like that, and definitely be isolated in the JSON file as well. So yeah,
Um, I'm I'm just now thinking that just maybe this is like a crazy idea,
mhm.
but one of the reasons why you have the if in there is because you can't type an empty string,
Yep.
right? So I wonder if maybe another approach could be to say to what is it, like the I think there is an event callback where you can say if you get this error, don't 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 fail the test.
Oh yeah, yeah, there is.
You know what I mean?
So yeah,
So
yeah.
you could just prevent the test from essentially you could prevent the test from failing
That's kind of
if
hacky, man.
um
Like, yeah,
is
you
it?
can, you can
Yeah, I
just on fail, do nothing, right? No, not do nothing. Like, what
well, no,
would?
I wouldn't do on fail do nothing. It would be like I don't know what the yeah, and like if it includes something with type or something, I don't know. Yeah, maybe that is kind of hacky.
Error message? Yeah, like code frame. Oh, nice code frame. Docs URL message name stack. Like we can do something with that. Uh, but if the name, what is the name of the error? Like if we have an error, uh,
Well, put a debugger in there. Like yeah, do that and then put a
oh yeah, debugger. It didn't fail. Oh,
y-
because I'm not running the test. It's this one. Wait, loop tests. Type email. Why doesn't it fail? It should fail, right?
maybe is fail the event.
Oh yeah, it actually yeah. Oh, here it is. Type null. It just passed. So hey, here's the Volkswagen mode. You can just make all your tests
What?
pass.
Oh, I remember that one now. Yep.
You
That was from a
remember
few
they?
years ago.
Yeah, yeah. That's a old joke. Yeah, but if you want to go Volkswagen mode, then you can make your test pass. There is a package, by the way. There is a package called Volkswagen on GitHub, and it basically makes all your tests pass on
Nice.
CI service. So not sure if it works for Cypress tests as well, but I believe like you can just make all your unit test pass on CI if you want to. The author says don't use that at all, but yeah. Wait, so I have the error name, and like, what do I do here? You said debugger.
Well, yeah, do a debugger and then you'll have to pull up
Oh, it doesn't do
DevTools.
anything.
For it to pause, you need to pull up DevTools.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then yeah, and then it'll pause and then go into console and inspect error.
And what now?
I just type it. Yeah, I just type in error. Yep.
Oh,
And then
here it
enter
is.
and
See
then
my type?
wait.
Cypress error.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
So that's the
Um
error name,
yeah.
right? Or is that the error message? You know what I would do? I would just type in
Yeah.
console log and have the error name, because I just like don't know how to use debugger. But you just show me, and this is pretty cool. That's, and I would have this in my console, right? Cypress error. So I can decide
Mm-hmm.
if I have a Cypress error, then just skip. It's it's
Well,
really
I
hacky,
wouldn't
this
do
one.
that. I wouldn't do that. It would be specific to type,
I'm,
right? If
I'm
you were going to do that in this situation,
yeah,
it
yeah,
would
yeah,
just be a problem with type. Then again, maybe if there's a problem with your form, type could also fail.
yeah.
So,
It's
yeah.
it's not a
There's
it's not a good way.
it doesn't come without caveats for sure.
Yeah,
Hey, if it gets the job done, don't
yeah.
rule it out.
Like Volkswagen.
But, I'm not suggesting to do this. I'm not suggesting
Yeah. Disclaimer:
this is a good thing.
you
But
haven't heard this
yeah.
from us, all right? We're
Yeah,
not
this is not
taking
a best practice.
responsibility
I'm
for
just
your.
saying, like, I'm just letting folks know, like, what the capabilities are of
Yeah,
Cypress, that you can tap into stuff like this.
I'm just going to leave this nuclear weapon right here, and I don't know what you will
Yeah.
do about that.
Yeah, it's your responsibility to
Yeah.
do the right thing. Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
Yeah. So I tried a little bit of the data driven testing approach with component tests as well. So I have written the same tests, but I've written those for component testing. So I have like the login component that contains all the logic inside this login component test. And oh wait, this is not the. I was sort of playing with that. And I was really thinking that this would give me like really faster results, and it didn't. But I think the reason why it didn't give me any results was the fact that I was like the page is not. It doesn't have like anything extra. The page is just the single component. So I guess the
You're not hitting a
component,
back end or something like
yeah.
that,
So
right?
the component test and the end-to-end test in this particular case, in this very very isolated case, would give you the same results. I think if we were to
Yeah.
load like a more complex app and try to do end-to-end testing versus component testing, that would definitely yield different results for as far as the speed goes. Uh, but yeah, what I did in here was basically just write the same test, but instead of CY visit, I would just mount the component, and I would just use the same data from a fixture, and it would be pretty much the same, and I would just test all of the cases in component, which I think maybe might be the better way to approach a test like this, where you just want to try different types of data to get to validate different messages. I was kind of playing with trying to like just stub the error message and just to have that component show that message. I wasn't able to do that. I'm just not technically there just yet. But then I realized maybe it's like not the best approach, because you need to have the hitting of the enter key or some sort of submitting happen in order for the component to have to be fully tested. You cannot just stop different states and expect that to be a valid test. Because as you said, if you type something and typing is not working, or the enter key is not reacting to change, or whatever is happening, then you might miss a bug. Um, all
Mm-hmm.
right.
Cool.
So yeah, I think we can wrap it up for today. What do you say? Did we have anything more?
Yeah. I mean, I think that from when we're talking about data, test data, and just dealing with data in general. So, we talked about data, data driven testing, right? Um, where a lot of the not logic, but whatever, the test is driven by the data. You understand?
Yep.
But there's also, with regards to data, there's also setting up data for your environment. How to do that. Should you go through an API? Should it be something that is loaded just before all of the tests run into your test environment?
Mm-hmm.
um, and where should that be done? And I think those are the kinds of things that, related to this, is something that we should touch upon. So, for all of you out there, if you have questions around data, or if you're interested in that, or you have questions, definitely hit us up on the Discord. Or are we still doing the Slido? You still using that?
Not really. We have the
Yeah.
live chat going
Uh,
on, and basically all the
yeah, we have
conversation
live chat.
either happens on Twitter, LinkedIn, on or Discord. So yeah, feel
Yeah.
free to hit us there.
Yeah. So, yeah, reach out to us. I mean, again, this is the Code Review Podcast. We review code, but we want it to be yours too. If there's any examples that you see out there that you have questions about, whether it be your own, or someone else's or ours, that you see out there in the wild, let us know, and we'll review it. We'll answer your questions around that. But yeah, I think definitely in the future we'll probably end up talking about data in a little bit more detail.
By the way, before we leave, we just had a question pop up in the chat, so I think it would be nice to answer that. It sort of is outside of the topic we discussed, but I did have like on the bottom, I did have the hey, let's go join the upcoming API workshop that's coming. So it's a question on API testing. So Ronald says it is quite feasible in Cypress, but most examples are RESTful with a JSON payload. Can Cypress be used easily for testing SOAP and WSDL responses? And and yeah, by the the to be honest, I'm not entirely sure about the terms of WSDL. I'm not sure if I heard that one. With the SOAP, I believe the difference, like the main difference with RESTful and SOAP, if I remember correctly, I just had recently someone to explain that to me, is that with SOAP you have your responses written in XML, right? Uh, Correct me if I'm wrong. I may be wrong on this. And you'd be right. Yeah, most of the examples are on REST. The workshop that I do is for REST API. So I think we can definitely take a look into different kinds of examples. And I don't see a reason why Cypress wouldn't be able to handle that. Maybe it is just a lack of examples. Mike, do you have any experiences in that in this area?
Stand it. Whether you're making a request, whether the underlying API is WSDL or SOAP or REST or GraphQL, whatever. Um, the mechanism is almost the same in terms of what you're going to do on the testing side. You're going to make a request, you're going to receive a response, and then you're going to make assertions on that data that's returned. So um, as far as the request being made, those are going to be the same as how your front end, most likely your front end is making those same requests. And in terms of the response, um, you're making an assertion on the response, however it's formatted. It doesn't, I don't think it's too relevant, but I could be wrong.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's an endpoint that you're hitting. Maybe the URL is formatted a different way. The response is formatted, and maybe you're asserting it in a different way. You're dealing with, like an XML response or something like that. Um, I think unless I'm missing something, I think the I don't think the plugin is really going to change anything. I think it's just any functions around actually making assertions on that data is what's going to differ. Um, yeah,
Yeah. By the way, I just kind of googled some of the examples, and basically, as far as I understand it, the main difference between testing the REST and maybe the SOAP API is the way how you handle that. Like you can definitely write it in the uh, in Cypress. Is just a matter of how you handle the response and how you actually create that response. So I just sent a link to an example that I found, but this is a good topic. I would probably dive more deeply into that because this is a topic. It's not the first time I hear about this, so I should get more in touch with this. Thank you for that question. Sorry, we
cool.
didn't provide a better answer. Hopefully that helps you guide at least a little bit, and if not, then yeah, feel free to ping us on our socials and on Discord. And if you keep reminding us of yourself and the problem, we can definitely spin up some examples. So yeah. All right. So
Cool.
let's wrap it up. Thank you everyone for listening and for joining us today. We had a great fun. So yeah, we'll see you. We'll see when we'll see you. We'll definitely let you know on the Discord and YouTube and other social networks. And not sure if we going to make one session before Christmas or we meet after holidays. But we'll definitely let you know. So again, thanks everyone for coming. See you next time.
See ya.